Then the museum, probably because the museum stays in a small city, it's a 100,000 people city. It's not so small, but it's in comparison with other Spanish towns, it's considered offside city. It's on the border between Portugal and Spain. So from the point of view of Madrid, it's something also invisible. You know, Badajoz is very far away and too small, don't bother. And so that's why probably I got the possibility of starting working with the museum. And now, in 2007, actually in 2006, I met José Lebrero, which is the director of the museum in Seville. And we actually met in a meeting in Cordoba, where a new museum exclusively dedicated to art and technology is going to be built and will open hopefully in 2009, 2010. It's going to be probably the first new building done in Spain that will be exclusively dedicated to art and technology. So they organized the meeting where they invited several consultants, people to give ideas and to discuss what kind of museum, what kind of art center should that be. So we had a discussion with people from different places in Europe. And then I met Pepe Lebrero. We had a very clash discussion, but it was a very, very nice one because he's a very honest man. And so we could really discuss the issues. And after less than a year, he invited me to organize a BIOS 4. So now we have two museums in Spain. And the Sevillian Museum is much more, I mean, it's in Seville, you know, it's a very important town in Spain. And actually now there is also another very important initiative in Spain, which is in the north of Spain, and also in a small town called Gijón, which is called the La Laboral. La Laboral is a huge project now, because as you know, many places in Europe are going down in terms of economics. I mean, either industries go to China or whatever, and so the politicians get really, panicked, and they try to find something. And then they thought that, technology and culture should be the issue. And so they also invited people there to discuss. I was invited also to be there with many other people. And they actually opened it. They opened 2 or 3 months ago, La Laboral. La Laboral is a huge project where they will do creative television, they will generate exhibitions, they will sponsor projects. And at the moment, at least in the next 2 years, they will have a lot of money to do things. I'm not sure what happens afterwards, but it's time to contact La Laboral now. So that I'm telling you this because I think it's a very interesting moment now. I think for now the people that are working with very important institutions in Spain, they already understood that things are moving and they have to adapt to a new paradigm of culture production and culture reception and culture interaction. I mean, the museum cannot be what it is now, an empty space where they spend all the money making the game of speculators that buy and sell art. And the museums legitimate that kind of speculation and spends lots of public money to attract people to the museum. Because if they don't spend that money, people won't go to the museum. We just have to look at the budgets of the museums and to see how much they spend in P&R and publicity and marketing, and you will see how they can, the only way they have to attract people is through spending a lot of money in publicity, having very strange relationships with finance and money. So,
very strange.
And that is not happening with post-contemporary culture, actually, because post-contemporary culture and post-contemporary art and cognitive art is about what everything what everyone knows, and it's very near to everyone. I mean, everybody has computers, everybody has mobile phones, everybody plays with technology nowadays, since you are 5 years old. So when you do things in relation to our very techno society, I'm talking about Western society, but even in India and Morocco, I've been in Morocco a few weeks ago, and now it's a real fantastic contrast between middle age and you know, mobiles with sophisticated video cameras. So I went to a wedding, in, you know, it's like being in a Costa Rican movie. I was inside a medieval town, inside a medieval house, and everything looked to me like medieval except the mobile phones that were, you know, taking pictures and movies of a medieval marriage. And it was fantastic. So I said, if I make a biosphere in Marrakesh or in Casablanca, I will have thousands of visitors, because all young people, not only young people, everyone will have a connection with the interfaces that we are showing, because everybody uses, you know,
gadgets.
Satellites. You know, you go to those medieval towns. They are really medieval, very poor, very, I mean, very offensive to me. I mean, I felt guilty being there in a way, to see how poor countries are. Some countries are. Most of the countries are. And at the same time, all those ruins were packed with satellite dishes, you know. And people were traveling in Mercedes-Benz, with Mercedes with 30 years old, thousands of Mercedes everywhere, because they buy second-hand cars. And everybody, you know, with their Nokia mobile. So it looks, you know, it's like Ridley Scott movie. And so I said, if we make a show there, if we open a museum in Marrakesh on techno art, everybody will go.
What about?
I mean, if you do a museum on contemporary art,
We'll do the first.
you know, with minimal paintings, minimal sculptures, Kossuth, you know, rhetoric and Gongoric conceptual art, nobody will go. I mean, we have to spend lots of money so that people will come. But if you play with, you know, if you work with environmental art, if you work with biotech art, if you work with robotics, if you work with everything that is related to life, people will come. So this is a long shot kind of approach I've been doing with some very friendly people in Spain. And I think that now, with the new initiative by Marta, building this network, I'm very glad that she's making it, because it will be a way of putting Portugal in that network, and because there are very interesting artists in Portugal working on new media. But most of them, they are isolated, or they have to work abroad all the time. So it's time to connect this country to Europe, also in this art field. Thank you.